What's good, everybody? What's up? What's going on? It's been a minute since I've talked to y'all. Holy crap. The last episode of season one was back in August. Today is October 17th. I wasn't going to come back until December. Actually, I wasn't going to release season two of the podcast until December. I'm still not releasing season two of the podcast until December. I'm only here because today's a special video, and I wanted to start doing these just for myself as a way of once again documenting just everything that I do, in a sense, or documenting how I feel, etc. So I just wanted to start making this video, this type of video. Today is October 17th. It is my birthday. Today's my birthday, and I want to introduce you to my girlfriend. That meme is so funny. But today's October 17th. Today's my birthday, and what I wanted to talk about is kind of everything that I've learned over the past year from birthday to birthday. Because every year, whether it's calendar year or birth year, fiscal year, I want to, learn new things either about myself or about the world and my interactions with it, etc. So what I ended up doing was I made a list. Okay? I made a list. It's my birthday special list. God dang it. Why did I name these things like this? And it's basically just things that I've learned or that I've further enhanced my knowledge of, either about myself or the world that we live in, just throughout the past year. And this is just a way of me documenting kind of everything that maybe next year when I do this again, I can kind of maybe think about what did I learn last year, what new things did I learn in this year, and what more things that I further deepen about myself, etc. So I'm just gonna start talking, and we'll just go from there. The first thing, first and foremost, when it comes to what I learned in my 26th year of living, is that I have an ego, and I love my ego. What do I mean by that? Well, I think I talked about in the previous, like at the beginning of the Who Am I videos, that I used to have an ego back in high school, but it wasn't the good kind of ego. It wasn't the kind of ego that makes you want to like be better, do better, etc. It was the ego that was like, I'm already the shit and I don't need to be doing more, or whatever I do, it's fine. That kind of ego was not good, and I didn't like it. Or not that I even didn't like it at that point. I didn't understand how bad it was until I started getting hit with all these like issues, and it was because of my ego. So I buried my ego, obviously, throughout college and stuff like that. Tried to be very, um, you know, self-aware, cognizant of, don't get too big for your britches. Don't have such a high ego. Don't expect things to happen the way you think, etc. Don't think that you're deserving of everything, that you need everything that you want, whatever you want, you're gonna get, like all those things. But then I realized that it just made me very passive, very complacent, non-aggressive, and it just basically put me in a spot where I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do because I always thought, oh, it's not for me, or oh, if I what if I try this again, and then my ego gets in the way, and then something bad happens, like what happened back in high school and stuff. So I buried it. In the past year, I've been resurfacing it. I've been talking to it in a sense, not as much as I would like. I want to talk to my ego a little bit more, but I've been having conversations with myself in terms of figuring out what kind of ego I need, I want, what I currently have, and what I can be doing more with it. I love my ego. I love the feeling of feeling like I'm unbeatable, unbreakable, that even my own insecurities don't have power over me, let alone anybody else in the world having power over me. Like that's what my ego gives me. My ego gives me unlimited amounts of confidence, but that confidence is very lacking in the face of experience and knowledge. So while I love my ego, I'm just currently working on next is the knowledge and experience to back up the ego. But I hope to be able to combine the three one day to be a very confident and capable individual. Number two is, and these are not necessarily any like ranking order, it's just an order that I like listed them in when I was thinking them off the top of my head. I had the capacity, number two, I have the capacity to go full work mode, but it's not good for me. I gave 150% of my capacity to my goals this year, but I need more frequent rest. I'm not a hustle grind set kind of person. That's a lie. I can be a hustle grind set kind of person. I was a hustle grind set kind of person this year, right? I threw out everything for the sake of what I was trying to achieve this year. When I was going full health mode, I threw out everything else and focused on the gym. When I was going full fableware mode and content mode, I threw everything else out. So I have the capabilities of going over capacity, right? It's just that it's not good because it causes more freaking burnouts. And I would rather try and figure out how to slow things down, keep things consistent, and keep things moving without having to take a break every how many ever months. My work already gives me seasons in the year when I can work heavily and not heavily for my personal goals because of how heavy work can be. And I just got through a heavy work season. And like, I put in 150% throughout August and September because throughout August and September, I was setting up and launching Fableware along with that was first of the 3 deadlines that we have for my job. So I gave so much. And the result is that Fableware did amazingly than what I thought. Like 13 orders, that's dope. For me at least. Actually 14, 15 orders maybe total. That's dope. Like that's crazy for me. I expected 4. That's a lie. I expected 0. I just hoped people would buy something. And they did, which was amazing. So it like putting in so much work gave me a result that was positive. It's just I can't maintain that level of output all the time. So I need to figure out a different level of output to keep things consistent and keep things moving. I know who I want to be. Let me just back up. Number 3, I know who I want to be. I know who I am. I do not like who I am 100%. I still have things I want to change and improve about myself. So that's just self-explanatory. Like I have a medium level of respect for myself right now, given who I am and what I do and what I'm capable of and what I've been doing. I have a lot of respect for the type of work that I put in this year. I have a lot of respect for being able to do so many things in just one year that maybe a different time in my life, it would have taken me much longer to do, or I would have failed at it miserably. So I'm very proud of myself in that respect. But there's just things about myself that I don't like that I'm trying to work on, but I'll get to that in a second. Number 5. Nope, number 4. This is the end of the first season of my post-education life, and I have to prepare for the next one. I talked earlier in the podcast about seasons in life, and I got that from Alex Ramosi, having seasons of 3 to 5 years of your life being one season. And it kind of makes sense to me in my life because after I graduated in 2021, the next season was work mode, which was 2021 all the way through now up until I would say next May when I get married and when I start a new chapter in my life with my wife, my to be wife, but she'll be my wife then. That'll be a new season of my life. So I will have had roughly 3.5 years first season of this life in which I can do things post education life, post relying on my parents' life, post all that. Like this is me, the first season of my independent life is coming to a close next year. And what I learned through that was viewing these things as seasons and understanding this is a new chapter that's about to come. Therefore, there will be new challenges, new obstacles, new experiences, and I need to expect those. I cannot prepare for all of them, but I can at least expect them. So when they happen, it's like, oh, I mean, this was bound to happen. We're doing, I'm married. I'm living in a new place potentially, like all these things. So that was number 4, is just understanding that this is the end of this first season of my life, and I think it's a pretty good season of my life, to be honest. I would say it's a pretty cool season. Number 5, I have one vice in my life that I cannot get rid of. I'm struggling between letting time help me get rid of it or continue trying to get rid of it constantly, daily in the short term. I can't go into too much detail about what this vice is. I think it's a conversation I need to have for myself. But I just wanted to share with you guys that I too struggle with vices in a sense. And I'm trying to work on it. There's good moments and there's very bad moments, but I'm just hoping that in this next season of my life, I can really tackle it. If I can't get it under control at the end of this season, maybe in the next one, I can figure out a way to push through it, get over it, to get rid of it. And I know like when I get rid of it, I'll be better. It's just, it's hard to do right now with me living alone. And it leads into the next one that, I have almost 100% lost the discipline I'd built up earlier in this 3.5 year season of my life. In college, I was very aggressively disciplined when it came to nutrition and fitness. But that was because mentally, I was able to give so much more mental capacity to thinking about that and behaving in that like model, because school wasn't taking up my mental capacity. It wasn't as difficult. So I could compartmentalize school and then life and then my fitness and nutrition. It is very, very hard to do right now. Even when I was living at home and working, I was still like, trying to be healthy and go to the gym and stuff. It was probably because once again I was surrounded by people. So I told it's like I didn't want to let those around me see me as or see me not doing what I need, what I say I'm doing. But when you're living alone, you let yourself. I gave myself too many permissions, too many concessions, and concessions just lessen and lessen discipline over time to where you're just not disciplined anymore. Like I'm not disciplined anymore in what I want to do and what I should be doing. That was a big struggle this year. I think the 100% overcapacity issue led into things had to fall, and the things that fell were the things that I had built up discipline for. Daily walks, daily activity and movement, getting into the gym, sunlight towards this end of this like busy season. I've been not walking or even being outside recently. My nutrition has been awful because I just cannot find the mental capacity to cook anything, because I'm like, this 30 minutes to an hour that I spend cooking and or eating could just be 30 minutes of me heating something up and or ordering something and then eating it while I am then once again on my computer editing, working, doing all these other things. So that's been really, really sucky. And I really want to get over that ASAP, like ASAP. But that was like the vice leading into, losing my discipline. The next thing is that I do not know what I want to do in life anymore when it comes to something that makes money. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. But I just don't know what I want to do in order to as a main income source. And that this really just stems from me being honest with myself that I don't enjoy what I do currently, but I have not allowed myself or given myself the permission to find something else, because I'm finishing a season of my life. I'm entering a new season, and with that season breeds so many changes that me as a person who doesn't like change, who prefers schedules, prefers things that he can expect, prefers predictability to an extent, I don't like changing everything at once. So I'm trying to keep this work and this job and this flow going into the next season. So when all these other things are changing, these other things are constant. So when these things are constant, maybe these things can have time to change, etc. That's what I like to do. That's what I'm trying to do. But the issue is that it's kind of breeding a little bit of mental issues in terms of just being discontent for the bulk of the day. But that's something that I'll deal with when I get there. The next thing is that life is better when I stick to paper, and that is coming back from the discipline, all like just basically talking about like I've been trying to add a little bit of spontaneity and stuff to my day, so I don't stick to my to-do list all the time. But then it led into I just don't use the to-do list anymore, or things that I say I'll do, I end up not doing. And I tell myself, oh, these other things are important, and then things keep getting pushed back. And I really just need to go back to paper, write down what I need to do in the morning, what are my most important things I need to do in that day, what are some things I need to do that make sure I enjoy the day, and then leave it at that. And then just let those things be every single day, do those things, and then gradually I'll be improving throughout life just constantly by just sticking to the paper. And then when there's times of spontaneity, those are nice because they're sprinkled into the whole area of disciplined daily like activities and stuff. So I want to get better at that. I want to get back into that groove of using my daily to-do list every night and, just making sure I do what needs to be done every day without wasting as much time as I currently have been. Doing things on my own is a recipe for failure. Yes, that's very true. I realized this year that anytime I try and do things solely on my own, I inevitably fail. One, because I do not know everything. Two, I there are a lot of weaknesses that I have that can be made up by the help of somebody else. And I didn't want to allow myself the help of anybody else. I wanted to be able to do it on my own. But I realized that the better, more productive, more efficient, the more all of those things outcome is getting help. So that's what I did with Fableware, and that's why it was such a success, right? I started Fableware, and I sent my partner all the designs. Every single time I have a new design, show it to her. Every single time I have a new idea, show it to her. Like I workshop it with her. She's like, doesn't look good. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I'll workshop it again. Thank you. Every time I put the designs on shirts and sweaters, does the sizing look nice? Colors? Which ones should I order for samples? Okay, samples come in. Mock-ups. Does the mock-up look okay? All those things, I run it by her. And then I run it by my friends as well. Any new video ideas that I have, I always send it to her and a couple of my buddies just to get their ideas and get their feedback of like, this was cool, or this was or this was okay, fix this, these, that, things, etc. I always like try and get feedback from somebody now just to make sure that, if I'm making something for somebody else, you inevitably have to ask somebody else what they think. You cannot just expect, oh, I liked this, so they will also like it. So that was a big lesson. That was actually one of the biggest lessons, is actually consistently asking for help / feedback / assist from others. I accept that this phase of life is all about setting up the future and trying and failing and learning. Ooh. The 26th year of my life, from October 17th, 2022 to October 17th, 2023, was all about trying. Because going into last year, I realized that a lot of the things that I thought I would do in life, I never even tried to do them. I like worked up until the first like checkpoint and then walked away. And so what I wanted to focus on this year was, no matter what I want to do, I have to give it an honest try. And that honest try is actually, going through with what I said I was going to do. When it came to content, it was making the videos properly, consistently. If I have an idea, stick to it, be consistent with it as long as you can. When it came to Fableware, was going all the way through selling it. Put the Etsy shop up, send it. Like, send it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least try all the way. When it came to this podcast, like, make those 10 episodes, make those 11 episodes, like, do all of it. Don't just go halfway then stop. Like, that was the thing for me, right? Don't go halfway and stop. And this next season of my life is going to be the same thing. I'm still in my 20s. Therefore, I'm still learning and trying and failing and trying again. It's just, I hope to reduce that gap between trying and failing to where I can try and fail more quickly. Therefore, I can try and succeed more often. That is the next thing. I'm proficient at trying new things now. The next goal is to limit my activities, therefore limit my focus to a few or one thing to improve more rapidly. And I realized this because I was talking to a friend at work, and I was telling her like all the things that I like to do when it came to dancing, rock climbing, going to the gym, doing my walks, reading, creating content, creating videos, podcasting versus bookish videos, and then starting Fableware. And she was like, "You have so many hobbies," and I realized that, oh gosh, I've become a hobbyist. I have not become a focused, goal-oriented individual. I've just become a hobbyist now, which isn't bad. But the whole point is to turn these things into long-term things. And with having so many hobbies right now, it's tearing up my focus, my capacity, and therefore my potential for success. So the goal is to, in this next year, is to properly like compartmentalize my focus, my attention, and my work to what needs to be done in those specific moments in time. Therefore, then things can increase at a more rapid pace. That is going to be very hard because I like to do a lot of things, as y'all know. Oh, this one's big. Oh, I hate that this is so true, but it's so true. I'm too easily persuaded or influenced, and I need a stronger mindset. Like, I'm way too easily influenced because I think that I'm just taking in information and behaving according to the information that I have taken in and processed. But what I realize is I tend to act on the information I receive way too quickly. Therefore, I'm being persuaded to act way too quickly. I need to register information, internalize it, process it, and think about, is this really what I need to be doing at this moment? If not, even if it's something good for me or good in general, not the time for it. That's just how it is, right? It's not the time for it. I'm just way too easily persuaded, and it's also because I allow certain. It's one of those things where, because persuasion comes from content right now, right? So I surround myself with the type of content that I like to absorb, right? Educational content, a slight hustle grind set content, just to keep me always thinking about, relax, but also do your work. You have things you want to accomplish, get to work. But every time I get new information, I think, that makes sense. Let me try it. No, you didn't even finish trying the other thing that you just heard last week. Why are you trying this new thing this week? In a sense, you know. So it's the idea, because persuasion then breeds inconsistency, because you try and do new things every time, or try and change something so often to where it's just not, you know, you're not getting any benefit out of those things. So I need to work on how easily persuaded I am. This is coming to my work. I like content. I love editing and creating. I'm not good at content creating. I'm not good at creating content that gets picked up by an arbitrary algorithm. I'm not someone, a normal person who's never seen me, wants to watch or listen to. I've accepted that. I accepted that a couple of months ago. That somebody might not come across my video and think, I want to watch what this person is doing. I want to hear what this person is saying. I want to listen to this person, etc. I get that. I get that now. So my awareness of that has now led to me understanding that now I need to make content for a different purpose. I hate the game. I hate the algorithm, very much so. But this is a side thing. This is not a main thing. My job is not to work with the algorithm. Currently, my job is just to get good at creating content, and get good at creating something that people want to watch, that people would like to watch and listen to. And from there, I will then inherently, once I'm good at it, I can then freak it out, as we say in dance. Once you got the foundations, then you can freak it. Then you can freak it a little bit. So right now, I'm just working on getting good at creating content. So it's a hustle. It's definitely a hustle, because I started from ground zero with all this stuff. I was never good at looking at the microphone and talking or anything like that. I didn't know lighting. I didn't know camera. I didn't know anything at all about any of this stuff. I obviously suck at marketing, therefore I can't even market myself. I hate hooks. I hate having to think about how to hook somebody into a video, all those things. But I'm hoping that type of understanding will come in time once I'm good, instead of me trying to force it into what I'm doing right now. I'm hoping for it to just to come naturally once I get better at what I'm doing. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Is like, I know I'm not good at it, but I'm hoping that once I become good at it, those other things will like naturally weave their way in into, okay, now you're good at these things. Now it's time to work on the next thing, versus work on all this at once and then have it really blow up in your face. My friends are everything to me. When I have the homies supporting me, I feel unbeatable. This year was a big year of me connecting with the homies here in Dallas and trying to basically using their support and their information and their knowledge for my goals. That's basically what I've been doing this year, is trying to lean on them, not lean necessarily lean on them, but just to like open myself up to the possibility that like, hey, this person's definitely gonna know more about this than me. Let me ask them, or let me just see like what they think about this idea. Let me go hang out with them, make sure they're doing okay. Because if they're doing okay, then they'll be able to help me, and then I'll be doing okay. And if they help me and I'm doing okay, I could then help them, and then make sure they're doing it. It's just a whole cycle. But what I realized, which is the next thing, is that I need to do a better job of supporting the homies. That's the big thing for me, is what I wasn't doing is I was asking, and I wasn't giving enough. That's not on the list, but that's something that I was supposed to talk about. But I've been asking the homies for a lot and I think I have, but I haven't been giving them enough. So I want to focus on next year's giving a lot more, and I'll get into that in December when I talk about my next year goals, but not my resolutions, my long-term goals for next year. The next thing is, if I'm not moving, I'm not healthy. It seems like a very simple thing, right? But the idea becomes more prominent when you get set in a position where you are so immobile that it hurts, right? And moving does not mean just physically. It also means career wise. It means work wise. It means just in personal growth in general. If I'm not growing, then I don't feel like I'm a healthy person. If I'm not moving, if I'm not going on my walks, if I'm not going to the gym, if I'm not dancing, first of all, I'm already in like a lower, like a less optimal, healthy like state of being. And on top of that, if I'm not moving physically, but I'm now also not progressing anything in terms of my soft skills, my hard skills, my the goals that I've set for myself, if I'm not progressing in any of those, then it's just all a bad thing. It's literally just all a bad thing. And so I want to do a better job of keeping things going, keeping things moving next year. The issue is that, I think I've talked about this in the past, where my work is a double busy season every year. In the spring, for about a month and a half, it's like late hours, you're on the computer a lot, etc. And then in the fall, it's August through October. It's basically the entire season. So there's so many weeks, multiple days / weeks of I'm sitting at my desk for 10 to 12 hours, 14 hours sometimes, staying up past midnight. I don't do that as much because I try and limit them. I try and like set my boundary. I know my colleagues have been doing it a lot. Mad respect to y'all. But that just takes a toll. And so I think I put it on here. Dang, I didn't. But this leads into another thing I learned about myself, was I'm either a night person or a morning person, but I am not both. So what that means is, when it comes to in the summer and in the winter, when I have control over my days, and when I only need to give 8 hours of my time to my day job, I have control over my day. Therefore, I wake up early, I go for my walk, I stretch, I clean things around the house, I do my chores, I eat breakfast, etc. Then I'm ready for my day when it starts at 9 or 10. And then I work until I need to, and then the rest of the day is my own. But then I usually sleep around like 10:30 to 11. I would like to be in bed, and then by 11 to 11 to I'm gonna restart that because this current camera does like a maximum recording time thing, and I never know what the time is because I just like don't look at the timer until it's done. I think it's like 30 minutes or 35 minutes or so, whatever it is. Anyways, we're gonna go back to the topic of me being a morning or a night person. So when it comes to what I like to choose for myself, I like to be a morning person, and I like to like ease down in the night. Around between 11 and 12, I'll usually just try and read or talk to my partner or whatever it is, but I'm trying to, like, just to sleep. I'm trying to like tone down and wind down and sleep. But when it comes to heavy work hours, I have to be up late. So I've conditioned my body to be able to be up later, but therefore I'm still going to want my 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep. And so if I end up sleeping later, I end up waking up also later, and therefore my morning time is no longer there. So what was happening this season specifically, was I was waking up, even if my body still wakes up at 7:30 every single morning, no matter what, if I went to bed at like 11:30 or 2:30, I still woke up at 7:30. I just laid in bed, just on my phone, literally until 9 or 10 o'clock when I had to get online to go work in my office. Like that was my entire morning. Yes, if I was up at 7:30, I definitely could have gone for a walk, done my usual morning things, and still gotten to work on time and everything. But I just chose to just not use my mornings at all, given that the rest of my day was so packed mentally that I basically just use that morning time to like not have to do anything, think about anything, whatever it is. And while that kind of sounded nice and it felt nice, it just left me very, very weak minded, weak physically, no movement, because I couldn't, if I didn't go walk in the morning, I wasn't gonna walk anywhere any other time during the day with how heavy work was sometimes, all that stuff. So I didn't use my morning because I was up so late. I hated that. So I need to figure out a way to work on that this next season. It's so hard to do all these things when one of them is already demanding so much of your capacity. It's so hard to give any little of capacity you have to anything else. It's so hard. I operated off of a feeling of wanting to versus a you need to do this, be disciplined about it. Like that's like I said, when I woke up and I wanted to stay in bed, I stayed in bed. That's just about it. If I want to go do something, I'll go do something. If I don't want to go do it, I won't do it. That's just how I've been all year. If I want to work, I'll work. If I don't want to work, I won't work. That's just how it's been. And that turns into wanting a lot of things that aren't good for you, like snacks and ice cream, and not eating properly, not getting your nutrition in, not getting my walks in because I don't want to, not going to the gym because I don't want to, not wanting to. Now, the gym part was a little bit weird because my wrist, 90% done, 95% done. Like we're almost there, guys. Like I can almost go back to actually doing push-ups again. Like that is crazy. But the minute my wrist feels a little bit achy, I just don't want to do anything because I'm so afraid of messing it up again. So then I just like don't do anything. So I'm trying to get out of this feeling of do what you want versus do what's good for you, and then sprinkle in what you want to do around after you've already done what's good for you, because you want to do those disciplined things anyway, right? It's just these other superfluous things that look more glittery and shiny that you want to do originally, they're not more beneficial in the long term. So things like that. Um, so y'all know this like self care, go to therapy, take care of yourself, love yourself type of thing that's been going on recently, right? And that mixes against, and it's been coming up more because it's like almost combating the hustle grind set culture, which I have a problem with both those cultures regardless. But I realize that I right now still operate and respond to a more toxic form of motivation than I do like self-care and things like that. Like I talk shit to myself in order to get me to do things, and I belittle myself in order to make me understand what is good and what is bad. Not the best thing, obviously, to like do that to yourself, because you're basically building a sort of animosity with yourself if you let that go on too long. I simply do it as a way of bringing myself back. Of like, I've this. Oh God, I haven't really been putting on weight, but I've put on a little bit of like lower abdomen fat recently, just because of the amount of sitting and eating I've been doing while working versus having not been active for the past month. So every time I go in the mirror, I just look at myself and I'm like, that's disgusting. You dipshit. Like, once this shit ends, you're back in the gym. Like, this is awful. Why the fuck did you allow this to happen? So like that's just how I talk to myself, because that's just how I respond to myself. And it helps. And what I don't want to do is give into this whole love yourself, take care of yourself, but then allow yourself so many concessions. Like, I'm not trying to allow myself concessions. Concessions are not good, right? I'm not like, I know when I live with my partner that there's going to be many concessions that I'm going to have to make in terms of, and not like in a bad way, but just like, make sure you're up at this time, because you do want to say bye to her before she goes to work. She might go to work earlier than you. So make sure you do that, and then you start your work. Maybe she's working late, so you need to make sure you get your work done that you want to do personally. That way, you have time to spend time with her when she comes home. Maybe you can do all your work front loaded. That way, you can have time to cook her dinner when she comes. Things like that, right? And those are just like very like specific things. Is whether those are things I think about where I don't want to allow myself the concession of I'll just do this later tonight, but then later tonight is I'm supposed to be spending time with my partner, but then I said I need to do this thing instead because I wasted time earlier in the day. I don't want to allow myself concessions. I want to be the person that I know that I want to be. And that person is a person who gets his shit done. That is who I want to be. I looked more at other people's successes than at my own shortcomings. And I played the blame game a few too many times this year. And this is all content. This is 100% all content, right? Because you're playing a game with billions of other people, and you think that the game is a matter of I got in this game at this point, therefore I should be at this point this much time later. I'm not there yet. Somebody who got into the game after I got into the game went further than I did in a shorter amount of time, and it's like, what? Why? Like you start playing the blame game. Why them? Why not me? What is wrong with me? What is all this? Am I not cut out for this? Am I awful? Like all these things, and you start looking at them versus looking at yourself more. And I did that a few too many times. I will admit that. I don't want to continue doing that, and I've been working on that. And I will keep working on it. But it's getting better. It's definitely getting better. I'm able to keep my lens on myself here, like right there. Wait, right there, right here. Boom. So I will continue to do that, and hopefully that will then lead to me being better mentally and being able to produce better quality things going in the future. I'm not a detail-oriented person. I know this personally and through work. I have quite literally been given this feedback at work that you're missing the details. You are great with the big picture, overarching rules, the way it looks, the way it's supposed to look kind of thing. But you're missing the details. And the reason why I'm not a detail-oriented person, this is the exact reason why, is because I don't want to spend the time in the details, in the weeds, as much as somebody else would. That is why. I'll give you an example. Imagine you're preparing a tax return. I'm not speaking about this from experience at all, but imagine you're preparing a tax return. You, as a preparer, have a job to make sure what you're entering into the return is correct, The number that's on the tax form has to get into the tax return accurately. Now, if you're a detail-oriented person, you would go line by line and make sure everything looks fine. If you're Irish, you're going to skim everything. It looks fine. It looks pretty fine. That makes sense. And then you send it up. And so it takes you half the time it would take somebody else to do it, but then you also make double the mistakes because you're not in the details as much. You're not going slow. You're not taking your time. And that's true. That's true. That's just how I am. When it comes to these Fableware designs and this apparel, some of the videos sometimes, I don't, there are some things when I've talked it over with my partner where she caught, maybe you should change this thing here. Maybe you should move this a little bit here or there. When it comes to videos, the lighting, the edits, etc. She's like, maybe fix this here. Or this here, this looks a little weird here, versus where I'm like, that looks fine to me. But everything just looks fine. Because I'm not a detail-oriented person. I don't want it to look perfect. I just want it to look fine, right? Fine is fine. Fine is good for me. So that is the whole thing, is I'm not a detail-oriented person. And I accepted that about myself. What am I going to do about it? I'm simply, in the future, going to have people around me that are detail-oriented enough to then make up for my shortcomings. I'm not going to keep pushing against the type of person that I am and spend time on where my weaknesses are when I could better use that time spent on strengthening my strengths and trying to find people and bring people around me that can help make up for those shortcomings that I have. That is basically what I'm going to be trying doing in the next few years, is building my own network that helps support what I'm bad at. It's about it. Because I don't have the time. I don't want to spend the time for that. It doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to. I don't care about most things ever. I'm generally a very emotionally detached person. This spurred from college, when I was living alone. And this even started back when I was living at home. I just stopped caring about things because the less you care about something, the less anything that happens to that something affects you. That was a very dumb way of putting it. Here's a better way of putting it. Less care, less expectations, less disappointment. The less you care about something, the less power it has over you. Those kind of things, right? So I just don't care about most things. But that has resulted in me only bringing things into my personal environment, podcasts, content, friends, family, relationships, activities, whatever it is. I only bring into my environment what I would care about. Therefore, there are now more things in my environment that I do care about than there haven't been in the past, because I just don't care about so many things, and I only allow things in my bubble that I do care about. Therefore, there's a bigger pool of things that I care about now that are in my bubble. Therefore, becoming a little bit more emotional about things. But I generally don't care about most things. I don't. Gossip, don't know her. News, don't know it. I do know it. I just don't talk about it as much because I don't have people to talk about it with. But who this person did this, don't care. What do you think about this country doing this? Generally don't care, unless it's the recent thing that's been happening with Israel and Palestine, but that's separate. But if it's oh my God, the UK did this, don't care. America did this, don't care. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me right now. This book character did this, I don't care. This online content creator did this, I don't care. I don't care about so many things, to be honest. which makes it hard to hold a conversation with people because I just don't care about half the things that people talk to me about. That's my own personal problem though. I'm obviously there's a lot more things that I thought about and that I wanted to talk about, but this video is already 45 minutes long, which is usually how it goes. You know what you get when you listen to me talk. But one thing is that I am so self-aware that I micro assess every action I take, and that ends up me trying to micromanage my own time, which ends up with me almost imploding in terms of thinking like, if I go do this thing right now, this 5 minutes gets cut out of this other thing that I would want to do after it. So I can only do one of the two, but the second one I can't do until 10 minutes late. It's just a lot of these weird thoughts that I have when it comes to like doing what I need to be doing, like the time spent doing something, what it then affects later on because I don't have, infinite energy. So it's like, where do I allocate energy? And then I end up just like sitting on my couch or my bed doing nothing. So one thing I want to get better at is, even though I'm self-aware, still like taking more action. And, if something takes longer than I expected to, it is what it is, but that needed to get done. So it got done. And that's that. Like that's how I want to be operating. These are a handful, a couple of the lessons and just a couple of the lessons that I learned in this past 26th year of my life. I don't know if there was a lesson in there for you, but I hope maybe you got something from what I was talking about. That being said, hey, go to failware.etsy.com and purchase something. Shameless plug. I'm going to be working on myself constantly in this next season of my life that starts next year. In order to wrap up this current season of my life, there's a couple of things I want to achieve. I really do want to get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, 1,000 TikTok followers. Fuck Instagram. I don't know what's going on there. I just want to make better videos. I would like to get consistent monthly sales with Fableware. I do want to get my health back in check. Drink my creatine and protein every day. Eat the proper food I need to every day. Get my morning sunlight in. Get my evening workout in. I don't know when I can climb again. So I'm trying not to think about that. But I hope either at the end of this season of my life or maybe early into the next one, I can start climbing again, because I really miss it. And I miss the friends that I used to do it with. So here's to a speedy recovery for the wrist. And I just want to help. I want to figure out how I can help people around me. Like, I want to support the homies, which involves needing to go to places in person. And I realized that this year was spent so much working on me and myself and my stuff that I did not have the time to go support the homies in person. A share on social media only goes so far. Like, I need to be there with them, supporting them, being a member in that audience, being a member of that staff, being a member of the person who helps there, and that. So this is a little teaser into next year, but I think the motto is going to be give, give, give. Just give as much as I can think of giving, and just see what happens with that. That's about it. I'll talk to you guys later. My camera battery's running low, so I will see you guys in December for the next episode of the podcast for season 2, with new graphics, new people, new stories, and hopefully just new friends. Take it easy. Happy birthday to me, I guess. I don't really celebrate my birthday. I don't know why I talk like that. Take it easy. work on yourselves, find your end goal, and then come tell me what it is, and then we can talk about our goals. Peace.